And away we go. The Holy Grail BCJ podcast right here on BearcatJournal.com. Make sure throughout this delightful summer, you are getting down to the Holy Grail on the banks and getting your fix. Sorry, I'm trying to get all the behind-the-scenes stuff taken care of. Welcome in. I'm Chad Brendel. He's Dave Simone. David, how you doing?
I'm excellent. How are you, sir?
Almost back to normal, I think. That time change, man. It's such a pain because you don't really feel like you're used to West Coast time until 2 days before you come back. And then when you come back, it's like,
Yeah.
So I'm getting there. I'm guessing Friday is going to be a little bit rough because
You got to get up pretty early Friday morning.
It's going to feel like the middle of the night. But we'll make it happen. We'll be all right. How's life been for Dave this week?
It's been good. It's been good.
All right. Good to hear. Good to hear. Not a ton to get to this week. Things are about to pick up on the AAU trail. I know Wes Miller and staff are headed down to Orlando for NBA Players Camp over the next couple days. And then next week, AAU gets the ball rolling full swing. Most of the staff will be in Kansas City, I think, for the EYBL. I'm going to head down to Rock Hill, South Carolina. Get a little Adidas action in. Follow Rayvon around for a little bit. Check out some of the Adidas targets. I might make a stop for a day in Atlanta to check out Under Armour, but Under Armour is really bad right now. They're struggling. So, and then the following week, I'll be off to Peach Jam down in North Augusta, South Carolina. So AAU season is just about ready to kick off. Squat Fest on Friday. So I think the whole crew's going. You're gonna make it after you drop Will off, right?
I know. I think I'm gonna be there from the jump.
From the jump, all right.
It just wouldn't have worked if it would have been worth it to do it if I would have had to wait until we drop him off, and then by the time I get down there, it's kind of not even worth it. So
right, I feel
kind
you.
of moved some things around, and we're gonna make it happen. I think.
Well, that's good to hear.
I've been prepping. I've been working, doing some squats, so I'm ready to go.
I think I may have to just take myself off of this podcast and see if Mo can do it full time. Because the numbers for last Thursday or Wednesday are a significant jump in viewership last week. That's what I joked on Twitter, and Mo's like, I said, not only is he better at hosting his own radio show, he's also better at hosting my podcast.
We had a good time.
You had a very successful show last week.
It's people like guests. They like, different dynamic every once in a while. So,
Well, and you guys also had the ability to go back in time and talk about a lot of stuff that, we've already covered.
Oh, sure.
Over and over again.
Sure.
So, but it was a really good show. The cigar talk was clearly very popular.
Oh, was it? I figured people would be like, I'm out of here once we started talking about that.
Look, man, I'm looking at the numbers right now, and let's just say you guys had a good week. My feelings are hurt a little bit.
Oh, don't take it personally. I'm sure it was.
Trust me, I don't care.
It was all me.
Yeah, it was all you. Everybody was here for Dave.
That's right.
There used to be you being the number 2, so they were here taking your chance to see what it looked like with you in the driver's seat.
Yeah. At the beginning, it didn't look great. Trying to figure everything out on the fly.
Yeah, it's not. There's a lot to it. There's a lot more to it than you realize.
I had everything down, and then I couldn't figure out how to change
where the overlay was.
One thing. And text Aaron, he's like, "You guys, we didn't scroll. I didn't know there was more things to scroll down to." So,
Oh. Well, I guess we'll start off with the big news of the week with the new commissioner of the Big 12. I mean, that seems like the proper starting point for this, doesn't it? I mean, there's starting to be a lot more coming out. You're starting to be able to get a better feel, a better understanding of who he is and what he's accomplished. I was just reading the Athletic piece.
Yeah, Max Olson did.
Max, before we came on, and it made the best point I think I've heard yet. As college athletics becomes more like pro sports, you need to have someone that has done things in pro sports. And I think people just look at they see the Rock Nation affiliation with where he's at now, and without doing the digging, they don't realize how huge he was for the development of NASCAR and how huge he was to get the Nets out of New Jersey and into the Barclays Center in Brooklyn and all the connections and influence he has in that world. And when you start doing the reading and looking at this guy, man, I think it's got a chance to be an outstanding hire.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I don't want to, it is an excellent article from Max, so I don't want to, just regurgitate it, but I mean, there's some pretty impressive stuff that he's accomplished. I mean, a $750 million deal between NASCAR and Nextel Sprint, which was the biggest sponsorship deal in American sports when it was done. Another $100 million deal with Sunoco, while with NASCAR. Within his first 2 years there, he had signed $25 million worth of other sponsorships. You mentioned the Nets thing. I mean, that was a whole rebrand. That was a whole, we're changing everything about this organization, and we're doing it in a city that makes it virtually impossible to build a structure like this. All the governmental red tape that they probably had to go through, a 20-year, $400 million deal for the Barclays Center, naming rights with Barclays. Just insane high-level stuff. And I think that's kind of where I come in at, where I totally get it. Larry Scott with the Pac-12 got off to a pretty good start, and then it turned into a disaster.
That's because he was a piece of shit human.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I'm not going to say that. I don't know him personally.
Well, a lot. Look at the way that he ran the business.
Right, there was a lot of things that went into it. I'm just saying, I can understand if you want to have the angle that this guy isn't in college sports. I get it. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I get it. There would be reservations, or there would not even reservations. There would have been questions with anybody they hired, because the landscape is so different, even over the last, from pre-COVID to now. NIL gets all the gets headlines, but just the business model of college athletics is totally different than the old guard, and it being almost like a regionalized southeastern midwestern sport. The Big 12 itself is rebranding. It is a totally different conference without Texas and Oklahoma. And the AD from, I know in the article, the AD from Colorado and Greg Byrne from Alabama were mentioned as possible, candidates, and they might have done a great job. But I just they have to be able to elevate this conference and brand this conference and secure sponsorships. And obviously the next media deal is going to be uber important, but it was going to be uber important no matter who the next person was. And the jury was probably going to be out on that person until that got signed anyway, because in 2024, the conference is going to take in about $50 million a team. And nobody is going to want to go backwards regardless of Oklahoma and Texas leaving. And maybe you do go backwards a little bit, but how much backwards do you go? Or maybe you just kind of stay the same. I don't know. But you cannot stick with these people that still look at college athletics as amateur sports, because it's not professional sports, but it sure isn't the amateur athletics that,
it's professional sports
that some want us to still hold on to. And I think you can marry the two. Like, you're telling me that this guy can't hire good people that understand the intricacies of the college football playoff or conference realignment or scheduling or things like that. Like, you just have to know that. That has to be an inherent skill set that you've earned by working in college athletics the whole time. I think it's time for, in this case, a bold and maybe risky move, but the conference needs exciting branding. It needs licensing agreements. It needs to be out there in the public as, like, yeah, we know we're losing these two pillars of our conference, but look at all these other things that we can still do. I mean, the guy, the other thing I laugh at is, like, we've seen numerous people talk about he has a Rolodex of connections, and we're just supposed to believe that all of those people only work in professional sports.
Right.
Like, in the article, Dave Gavitt, or Dan, whichever one, Dan
Gavitt.
Dan Gavitt talks about him reaching out in 2016 about wanting to have NCAA tournament games at the Barclays Center. Him reaching out when he was with Rock Nation, asking about name, image, and likeness and how Rock Nation can be involved in the things that they can do and can't do. And Gavitt was like, and I'm sure I'm not the only person that he reached out to asking about these things.
Sure.
He's got a super tight relationship with John Calipari. Like, he's known Jim Delaney practically for 40 years. I look at it and I say, I think it's a good time to try something like that. And, the way these media deals are going, and do these streaming companies want live sports? I mean, obviously the MLS signed on with Apple. Yeah. So Amazon is obviously in big with the NFL now. Are they wanting to get in deeper with live events? I mean, I just think you got to have somebody that understands the full scope of that. This is an entertainment product. This is not just college kids playing football. And I know there's more sports, but like, this isn't just student athletes playing football. This is an entertainment product. And how do we present this to our fans and to the nation in a way that is different, exciting, and then also financially beneficial to our league members?
I think when you look at, like, the ever-evolving landscape, I think it's okay to call it the way that he's going to have to approach this. It's okay to call it professional sports, because he's going to have that mentality when it comes to TV deals and marketing and branding. And, like, he's going to have to go back to all those things that he experienced with NASCAR as he grew that, and with the Nets as he made that change. Like, this isn't college sports anymore. It's at least it's not college sports anymore as we used to know it.
No, not on that level.
So, sure, it's about the student athletes, and sure, all of that stuff still rings true. But for a commissioner that's going to be tasked with everything this guy is going to be tasked with, or whoever was hired into that role, this stuff is critical. Because you're not going to be able to just skate by and count on things happening that have happened in the past. Because the environment is so different, because the landscape is so different right now in college sports. Like, I think you would have been hurting yourself hiring someone with the mentality of the Old Boys Network. I think that's how you would have gotten left behind.
I agree. I mean, and I put a couple things on Twitter yesterday on the BCJ account, but it's just hard to imagine that he fails as a commissioner because he doesn't have like a 20-year relationship with a bunch of ADs and other conference commissioners versus failing because he doesn't get the Big 12 the amount of money needed to stay competitive in the changing landscape with the Big 10 and the SEC. Like, which one of those things do you think is more likely going to be the demise of his career as the Big 12 commissioner if that happens?
Right. And I saw there was some talk in that article about like, how's the New York guy going to adjust to Texas? He ran NASCAR. Guess what? That's not very New York.
that is a very, but see, that is also like a very college sports thing. It's like, and we live it because Luke Fickell is like a fit. Yeah. But like, how many coaches get talked about during coach carousel season of like, well, I don't know if he's a fit or not. I'm like, well, can the guy win or not? Like, can he recruit or not? Like, is someone a better fit in one place versus another? Sure. But like,
well, we know what a bad fit looks like at Cincinnati.
Exactly. Like, I mean, it just, those comments, and there was a lot of them in the Pat 40 article for SI where they were predictable, and they just sounded like they came from people that are trying to hold on to how things have been done and aren't stepping with both feet into the future of what it looks like college athletics are going to be.
Yeah, I just leave it to 40 to write an article that is a bunch of, stuffy white men not happy with the status quo. But I don't know, like, is there always going to be in any field? Like, I remember when I went out, the first AAU event I was at last summer, when things were finally starting to open back up. And there are a lot of guys that are mixed age or a little bit older, that like this new wave of guys that are coming into this business. And I looked around and I was like, shit, I'm the old guy now. Like, how did that happen? But you can't continue to think like the old guy. Like, you've got to be able to go out of your comfort zone, to look for different revenue streams, to look for different ways to engage the market, to build your community. And I think that's too many of these people in college sports are fighting tooth and nail against what's happening.
You're looking to elevate your product. Like, how many opportunities from maybe a sponsorship or a branding platform are going to become available because of Rock Nation type relationships?
Connections, right.
How many marquee basketball events, preseason type things are going to become available because of his relationships with the Nets, Gavitt, John Calipari, Rock Nation? Like, this is about
the Barclays Center itself.
Right. I mean, I don't think it makes sense to have like the Big 12 tournament at the Barclays Center.
No.
But I mean, would it stun me in a couple of years if there's Big 12 teams playing at the Barclays Center in these preseason
ACC
events?
Challenge, a Big 12 ACC or Big 12 Big East.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, you have a conference championship football game that is going to need to be elevated, even though Texas never plays in it and Oklahoma usually wins it, but didn't last year. That's the thing that I just want to see more than anything is how does he and whoever he brings on or keeps or whatever, where do they take this league when everybody in the outside world is going to keep saying, yeah, but Oklahoma and Texas aren't there anymore?
That's going to be the $1 million question.
Right. So where does that go? And am I supposed to believe that, Greg Burns seems like a hell of an AD, but, he's at Alabama. How hard is it to be the AD at Alabama?
Right.
Am I really supposed to believe that he would, just because he's an AD and has worked in college sports, that he is more equipped to handle and elevate the Big 12 without Oklahoma and Texas versus Brett Yormark?
He's not going to be able to hire Nick Saban while being the commissioner of the Big 12.
Right.
just the reality of it.
Yeah,
right?
I just think that it's, Larry, to his detriment, Larry Scott used the word innovative probably a million times and didn't get much of innovation off the floor. So, I get it. I don't want to just hear a bunch of fancy buzzwords like innovation and branding and licensing and forward, I want to see it. But, at least this guy has real experiences that he can go back to and say, okay, I did this when we were trying to get the deal done with NASCAR and Sprint, and I feel like there's parallels here with this, and and I know this person and that person, and we can so it just looks like that the presidents and chancellors, and to their credit, understood that this is just not the same old regionalized, student athlete NCAA athletics that it was when they started.
Right.
And you can either cling to that, or you can take a chance and possibly be a trendsetter. You can pave the way with how these things are done. And it'll be super interesting to see where that goes over the next couple of years.
Aaron, are you around? No. Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Just coming right in my eye.
Ask Dave your question from yesterday about this.
What do you make if this they take the Big 12 into the metaverse?
I don't know what the metaverse is.
With the Oculus headset and the things you can do in 3D world and that kind of thing.
If they think there's value there, then sure.
As everyone tries to tap into younger markets, because let's be honest, kids are less interested in sports right now, I think, as a whole than our generation was.
Right.
I think it's a way to tap into a largely untapped market that thoroughly enjoys watching people play video games on YouTube, on Twitch, and different streaming platforms. So if you integrate video games and real-time sports, or even it with gamblers or something like that, where they're able to see some different things than maybe you would see otherwise.
It's ridiculous. It's kind of silly to say it, but it's limitless.
Correct.
Did we see any 2 years ago? Obviously, things were tied up in a court of law, but NIL, all the things that have come because of that, whether they're good things in those cases and a couple of shady things in other cases, but they're I just think people, and I don't even understand some of this stuff, but with Twitch and just want people that get paid millions of dollars to play video games.
Mm-hmm.
It's branding, it's licensing, it's
building a community. It's
Right.
what we like. It's similar to what we've done here on a much grander scale, obviously.
But
sure.
But
so Dave, like, kind of take that mindset that you have right now, where you don't quite understand it, and push that into a guy who's only known football,
Exactly.
and he's 65 years old,
Right.
and you're going to put him in charge of something that you're trying to grow this, when you're seeing that if you can tap into markets like that, it's limitless. But are people that are the old heads, the good old guys club, and what have you, are they going to have that same type of thinking?
Well,
Maybe
of
not.
course not. And that's our whole point, is that
Right.
you don't have to do all these. Not every innovative idea
Correct.
is a financially sound and smart one for this particular industry. But you have in the old days, but with the traditional setup of your conference commissioner, like, they're not thinking about those things. They're thinking about their conference's television deal,
Correct.
the college football playoff television deal. Like, they're not thinking about, like, that we have, all these schools combined probably have X number of fans in the 18 to 25 age range that know what this stuff is and that would pay a subscription if they got to play a video game against these college players.
Right. And
every once a week, like, 5 guys from the different Big 12 schools are on this Twitch thing, and there's a membership fee, and and then some of the money goes to the players and some of it goes to the whatever. I'm just making shit up.
Sure.
I don't even know how that stuff works, but, like,
well, and as
I don't even know how it works. You think people 25, 30 years older than me are thinking about what's
right?
That is a possible revenue stream?
And I guess as you're thinking of, outside the box ways of making revenue for the conference, because people are starting to prefer the at-home experience to the being in the stadium and having to deal with all of the things that entails.
Yeah, UC fans are super spoiled. Like, 90% of college football attendance is going down while UC's is going up.
But if you can tap into those markets that are trying to go the stay-at-home route, but still have money that they're willing to spend to enhance that experience.
Sure.
I think those are the markets.
That's a huge thing.
Right.
Like that's the outside the box thinking that's going to at some point make somebody look like a genius. Because people are still willing to spend that money if they stay home.
Correct.
Well, you've seen, or at least I've seen, I don't know if you guys have seen this, LSU, I know, and maybe one other, which is kind of funny because all it reminds me of is the Longhorn Network, but they're starting their own streaming service. Now, I'm not sure, like, how much content and what kind of content is going to be on there and who is really going to pay for it. But I'm just looking at it like, if the Big 12 started, not the Big 12 channel, but, like, I think hopefully they do, because I think there's money there. But then again, it's a hard sell without Oklahoma and Texas. But there's just too many, like, too many opportunities, too many paths, too many things to at least explore with the direction that the industry is going, because I won't just say sport, but the way the industry is going to just, and I'm not saying any of these other people would have just done the exact same thing that they've been doing for 20 years, but I just like this what this says more than what that would have said.
I think there's
like
a reason
if they would have hired one of these other ADs, like, what would we have said? Like, okay, that's cool. Like, Greg Burton, he's the AD at Alabama. Like, he knows a lot of people in college sports. Okay. We still would have come back to, is he able to get the Big 12 a $50 million a year television deal?
I just think the fact that you had the conference looking at, I think, 4 candidates that were all nothing to do with collegiate sports at their current jobs.
Yeah.
I think that tells you that this conference wanted outside the box and breaking the norm and seeing just what the ceilings were out there, because now
they had to. You don't have establishments like Ohio State and Michigan and Alabama and Georgia and LSU and Florida, like, and to a similar degree, like USC and Oregon, and Clemson is a newer power, but like
Florida State.
You don't have those brands. You can't just say like, oh, we'll get a good TV deal because we got Alabama and all these other schools. Like, you have to do something a little bit different. And maybe that means that they go more streaming than just regular ESPN or Fox. I did find it interesting that one of the in the Big 12 release, one of the comments was from one of the Fox like programming higher, seemed like one of the higher ups. So,
well, I mean, even to put it far smaller scale, like, Chad was doing just the podcast, just one podcast. We add, a couple more different things, and we add the Twitch and we add the YouTube, and we're doing different things even here in our model. And all of a sudden we've got way more viewers when we're doing other channels, and we just continue trying to build this thing. The conference is the same thing on a far bigger scale, like where you have to try and find different revenues to make up the ground that you're potentially losing with Texas and Oklahoma leaving. But Texas and Oklahoma leaving also is a lot of old traditional thought processes. And by them leaving, I think that you're just kind of being able to broaden your horizons as far as thinking outside the box and having those big, bold moves where you're trying something different. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But I think you're going to be seeing this conference trying a lot of new, different, innovative things.
Yeah.
Well, go back to the metaverse, like just that theory of that. We saw Barstool change the game 5, 6, 7 years ago with second screen viewing, where they would just have the Mets fans that work at Barstool watching the Mets in a playoff game live on stream with the game on. And if you looked, what were people watching? People weren't watching the stream per se. Like, they had the stream on, but you would see the numbers spike drastically when something happened.
Right.
Mets hit a home run, numbers jumped because they wanted to see what the reaction was. Mets lose a 4-2 lead in the 8th inning. The numbers went through the roof because everybody wanted to see the Mets fans die in real time. But I'm serious. Like,
I know.
That's what happened. That and that mentality. Like, I thought about this. There's a reality where we don't necessarily do watch parties anymore, but we do this. And the three of us have the game on, and we watch the game live with people at home.
I would be terrible at that.
No, you wouldn't. You would be amazing at that.
Well, I know, but I would be all over. Like, I walk around all the time. Like, you would never see me on camera, and I would probably get us kicked off because I would cuss too much.
It's possible, yeah. But that's my point. Is that's where this is headed, man. Like, that's the stuff I'm talking about with like second screen content and the ability to like live the game.
Well, yeah. I mean, as a Tennessee fan, I know. I mean, when Big Cat did the college football thing,
yeah,
there were like 300,000 people watching him play the
a
national
video
championship.
Game. Yeah, to win a national championship as Tennessee.
Yeah,
like a large portion of the Tennessee fan base was invested in Big Cat winning a national championship in a video game.
Mm-hmm.
And I did see that quote. That's how he'll be there. He'll take that conference and you'll think it's the Big Ten. Like, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, like, what if you just like got student groups at each school and they did what you said, like you watch the game and they watch the game at the same time, like, and then that has a sponsor.
Yeah,
it's branded, and but
I
think you're just looking for more ways to like get, and I think maybe COVID did this too. Like, you're looking for more ways to get personal. Like, yes, everybody can go to the game, but not everybody can go to the game. But you still want to feel like you're at the game. So, like, what if you set up something that was like a big group stream of the game. So you're watching it on ESPN from your house in Athens, but you feel like you're watching it with a ton of other UC fans all at the same time.
Or you're watching it with former players, like 3 or 4 former players are sitting there providing the commentary.
Like they do for the national championship, where they have the coaches and stuff.
I'm actually currently in a movie theater at my sister's house in Indianapolis with a giant, 12-foot screen here.
Maybe we can go watch it there.
I mean, this is wild. It's a giant TV and 8 recliners back here.
But that's the Barstool setup. If you go look at like the gambling cave for Barstool,
they just put
the same setup.
Just put a bunch of couches and stuff.
Yeah. And they put a bunch of mics on the floor, and everybody just watches the game, and the fans get to experience living through that. Like that's the stuff that if you're progressive, you're thinking ahead, because that's where stuff is going. Like that's just the reality of it, man. Like that's why I think it's so important to not hire in the box, to not just go the same direction that everybody else is going and take the same path that everybody else is taking, because it puts you behind the 8 ball when you're appealing to your customers that are expecting something different.
Is like the SEC can do that because they have that luxury. Like
it means more.
They can just keep rolling with the same, for the most part, the same product, and because they know what's going to happen already. This conference cannot do that. They do not have that luxury.
Not if they want to continue to be in the conversation.
Right. Like the ACC's TV deal sucks. Like, so they have an opportunity to be in that 3rd spot or whatever.
The Pac-12 is never going to be in the 3rd spot.
No,
they can't.
No.
Even if they get back to USC as a national power, and Oregon is right there, and Washington's relevant again, and whatever, because of the time difference, it's never going to happen. Like it's just,
Stanford's never going to care, even if they get another Andrew Luck. Like they're never really going to care.
Yeah, but there are places that care there. They just don't have national appeal. They don't Pac-12 after dark. I know Dave loves it. Like games kicking off at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. Like let's
gamblers
go.
Love it too. They're trying to get some money back after a bad Saturday.
But in terms of being a national brand, like the Pac-12 doesn't really stand a chance unless they're willing to just kick games off at 10 o'clock in the morning and run them through the afternoon and be done by 10 o'clock at night. Like,
yeah, there's opportunity. They just, you have to have the right people pulling the levers and capitalize on the right time, and hopefully, a lot will be not decided, but a lot will be laid out based on what happens with the Big Ten and Pac-12 deals, because somebody's going to lose out.
Right. So
do they still want to have a chunk of live events, or do they just decide like we're going to bow out? This isn't money we're wanting to spend. But then, there's a lot of people that they would have to fight, lay off, and a lot of empty programming on their networks that advertisers will not be buying ads for,
Right.
So, but it'll be interesting, like how much, where does the Big Ten go with its Fox ESPN relationship? What does that do for the Big 12? I mean, the Big 12 is pretty heavily ingrained with Fox. Do you see some combination of a Fox and a Amazon, or a Fox and an Apple on the football side? I mean, the Big 12 is pretty. Everybody still lies with ESPN except for the Big East and Pac-12 in the basketball side, but it's going to be interesting. And just thinking about it, even if they just break even in that like 45-50 range, in 3 years, UC is going to be going from getting $7 million a year to $50 million a year.
It changes a lot. Changes a lot.
All right. Let me know if you guys need me again.
Yeah, excellent contribution.
Everybody will be dancing like George Jefferson in the Lindner Center.
Well, we're moving on up. Oh boy. All right. Well, I guess we can timestamp that. Dave, you're gonna have to go get your stuff quick.
Yes, I know.
Sit for a little while.
I know.
Urban Artifact, the largest sour-only brewery in the United States. They pack over 700,000 pounds of real fruit into their lineup of fruit tarts every year. Swing by Urban Artifact's Northside Tap Room in Jim Bearcat Journal. Get $2 off a flight of 4 tasters. I guess you've only got till the end of the month on that?
On the promo?
Yeah. I don't know if that ends. Like our agreement through the spring and into the summer is over July 1st. So if you're going to get there soon. And if you want to sponsor the timestamps, my DMs are open. It worked great for Urban Artifact. They
or the
had a very good
BBP
time.
mailbag.
Or the mailbag. The mailbag is open for sponsorship. The timestamps are open for sponsorship. PTP is PTP open for sponsorship, Aaron? You guys like money?
Always.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Anything you want to do, you make up your own segment and sponsor. I don't
care.
We're
tailgate.
We're very open.
You can sponsor our tailgate. It's growing quite a bit this year.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, there's a lot more people that have season tickets, so we'll be pushing. I mean, just in our friend group. So I think we'll be pushing like 20 plus every week.
Wow. Getting big, getting up there.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you make the college football playoff. And
that's right.
Have 9 guys drafted and all that stuff. What else you want to talk about, Dave? What else you got? I talked to Luke yesterday.
Well, I mean, we're
about a month, just over a month from the start of camp.
We are, as of last Saturday, we are 10 Saturdays from Fayetteville, Arkansas. So
yeah,
it has come on us pretty quickly. We should probably start talking about some football.
We're getting to that point. Yeah, if we wait to camp, then it's too late.
Because we'll have too many things to talk about,
right?
Camp wise, that But yeah, I mean, it all every year it does this. Like
this year more than ever because everything played out so long. Like
May and June always drag, and then
oh shit, the season's here.
Oh wow, we're like 2 months from the season, 2.5 months from the season.
What do you want? Kennesaw State? You want to?
I'm not talking. No.
Why not? They're pretty good, right? They're a quality FCS squad, I believe.
I have no clue. I have not looked at. All I know is their location and their colors to this point.
So Miami, you want to talk about Miami?
You can talk about some Miami.
Paul Brown Stadium. I don't love that. I so prefer being in Nippert.
We don't need to rehash.
I know you and Mo touched on it again.
It is what it is.
Danco Joe already has a reservation in Roadhog RV lot in Fayetteville. Let's do a BCJ tailgate there. Are you going?
No, I'm not.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to go either. I'd like to.
I really want to go.
I would love to go, but just not gonna work out.
Maybe we'll figure something out, Chad.
I mean, I'm down. My biggest problem is I've talked about this before. My family every year does a deal on Labor Day, like every year. It's like the Brendel family gathering is Labor Day weekend. I usually have to miss it. So
stick around if I go, I'm trying to see if my mom wants to redo the Dallas trip.
And it's a 10-hour drive. It's not bad.
Right. No ice
It's
storms
not,
this time.
yeah, it's.
No.
I would hope not in August. Whew. I would hope not. Heat wave potentially. Might be 1,000 degrees.
It might be that.
It might be hot.
I've heard great things about Fayetteville.
2:30 local kickoff. Yeah,
the box would be air conditioned though, so
it could be a little cold or a little warm, I should say.
Just a touch warm. Just a touch warm. I don't know. I'm torn. The thing is, I'm going to have to pay for Kelly and Kelsey to go to the family reunion because they're going.
Where is the family reunion?
I don't even know where it's at this year. I need to probably look into that. It's getting close. 10 weeks away. Nine Saturdays until the family reunion, and I don't even know where it's at. Usually, my uncle lives in St. Louis, so usually we pick somewhere in between Cincinnati and St. Louis. Roughly.
Northern Kentucky.
I live in Northern Kentucky.
I know, that's in between St. Louis and Cincinnati.
Not quite. So I don't know where it is, but I'm going to have to pay for a couple days at that hotel anyway. So I might just watch it from there. I don't know. I'm tempted to go. I just don't know. What, do you drive back that night? Like, drive halfway back that night and then get up Sunday morning and drive the rest of the way back? We got content to produce. Like, I don't know. I'm uncertain. But back to Miami. Are they going to be any good?
No.
They lost a lot. Didn't they?
Did.
Between the portal and graduation, they lost a lot.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to run down
pace.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'll get into it, but this is where
and Cam Butler,
this is where the portal. This is where the portal stings. Your three best defensive players. Well, I shouldn't say three best defensive players. Your five best defensive players no, I shouldn't say that either. Your five best defensive players from last year, gone. Two got drafted, and then the three best returning guys all transferred. Ivan Pace obviously transferred to UC. Lonnie Phelps, who led the team in sacks with 8.5, transferred to Kansas, and Cam Butler, who was second on the team with 8 sacks, transferred to Virginia. You then also lose Dominique Robinson and Sterling Weatherford, who to the NFL, who were two of your better players. You lose Jack Sorensen, who's your best wide receiver to the NFL. He's actually on the Bengals right now. AJ Mayer transfers to Arkansas State. So you have, Brett Gabbert is still there, but he doesn't have a ton of help around him. Matt Kippenhammer is back. He transferred in last year from Penn State. Solid receiver, but I mean, these guys aren't, even with the losses UC had, this crew is not challenging UC.
No, and I don't want to say you feel bad, because you don't, because it's, it's a business. It is what it is. But those MAC schools, man, you're in a tough spot when you had them. Miami's roster, we didn't get to see it in the game UC played against them because they sat out most of the people that were relevant so that they would be healthy for MAC play. But the roster had a decent level of talent on it. As you see with where those guys transferred and guys that go to the NFL, you got 5 guys on your defense that are Power 5 level players / NFL draft picks. For a MAC school, you got quite a bit of talent, and that just is completely wiped out, Dave, in the matter of a month?
Yeah, and that's the thing is you just don't have great depth. So, like,
you're never going to have great depth,
right?
Right.
And so you lose these guys. You lose 3 guys that you would have counted on to be. I mean, all 3 of those guys: Pace, Phelps, Butler. They're first-team MAC defensive players.
Right.
Like, and you're just they're gone. And now, yes, they brought in their own crew of transfers, but there's nobody on the level of those guys. I mean, and they're Power 5, quote unquote Power 5 transfers, but like Trayvon Morgan transferred in, the wide receiver from Kentucky. Like, he hasn't done a thing there.
Right.
You know, Nolan Johnson, cornerback from ECU, is probably the actual transfer that has produced the most. Michael Dow, DB from Michigan State, 6 career starts, but 67 tackles and 3 pass breakups for his career. Corey Suttle, defensive lineman, 5 tackles in 14 games during 2 seasons at Iowa State. Like, it's not a 1-for-1 change. Like, you're losing your best players and replacing them with guys that haven't produced yet. And maybe they'll produce.
I mean, that's the tough spot you're in, mining the transfer portal if you're Miami, right? Like, you're not going to get the guys that have done anything. So you're going to get the guys coming from, if you're mining for Power 5 guys, you're going to get the guys that have been at the bottom of rosters that you just hope that, what they lacked was opportunity, and not that what they lacked was the intangibles that get you onto the field at a Power 5 program.
If they had production and they were transferring, they'd be transferring to another Power 5 program because they have a gaping hole at this position, or they just didn't want to. They just didn't want to be at the school that they were at anymore. I mean, they're not 10-sack guys going from Michigan State to Miami.
Right. That's not how this works.
So I mean, they lead off at Kentucky. They play UC, then they play Northwestern. Like, they have a typically hard-ass non-conference schedule. So they do get a Robert Morris in between Kentucky
Bobby Moe.
and UC, but yeah. But they're just, the defense is going to be an issue. Like, you just can't get around the fact that on every level of your defense, you've lost. I mean, they're replacing their top 5 guys when it comes to sacks. I mean, you're talking about over 20 and maybe close to 30 sacks that are gone.
And what they have for the season, 40?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but I mean, Pace had 4. Phelps and Butler combined for 16 and a half. Dominique Robinson got drafted by the Bears, so he obviously had some. And then another guy had some. I mean, so you're talking about, 20 and a half just from those 3. So the other 2 guys probably had close to 10 or so. I mean, you're talking about 30-ish sacks. Like, how are you going to replace that?
You're not. You're not going to be able to get after the quarterback. Your secondary is not very good.
Nope. So.
And that's what this look, if we're going to talk Miami, we have to talk about it. Like, this started when UC went into the Big East. And the gap is only going to continue to get wider going into the Big 12. I get it. Like, I don't think they should cancel the series, just because I think they're already getting what they're looking for out of Miami. It's local. There's no big travel budgets. Do I think it should be strictly played in Cincinnati? Yes, I do. Miami has lost the right to have games in Oxford, because It's 80% UC fans. Like, we shouldn't have to come up to your place. But the reality is, this gap isn't closing. And go look at the recruiting rankings.
I mean, I don't know if the Big...
You want to cancel it, I know.
No, I'm saying I don't know if the Big 12 move even matters.
Well, but it matters in that we're looking at a 2-point jump in the average recruiting ranking of a player coming into Cincinnati as they enter the Big 12.
Hey, speaking of their house, did you see the new turf that UC bought them?
No.
Did they get new turf?
They got new turf.
No, I just mean from the sense of like, I think UC's bumping, yes, Big 12, but it's also like Luke and CFP.
Yeah, but I'm just saying the gap is not.
Oh, it's not getting shorter.
Right. It is continuing to do this. That's my only point.
Here, you want me to blow your mind? I was reading the Athlon. I got my Athlon. I'm in there as a contributing writer.
You got a byline this time?
No, it does, not for each article. At the front of the magazine, it has like all the contributing writers. Guess what season this is for Chuck Martin?
8, 9?
9.
Yeah, he's been there a long time.
Like Athlon has them as projected number 1 in the East Division. 85th.
Well, that's the thing is he's done a good job of
85th in the nation. But yeah, like you said, I mean, it's not, to me, a mark of it being competitive is not necessarily like what the score is on Saturday, because the score on Saturday can be what it is, and that's not necessarily indicative on where the two programs are going.
I mean, that looks like a nice turf field. Hundreds of people are going to enjoy watching Miami play.
Great facilities. The stadium is an absolute shithole. It reminds me of Indiana in every conceivable way.
See, I always miss that because I'm never in the concourses. I'm never.
There's practically no concourse at Miami. You just kind of go in whatever gate you go in, and
but you know what I'm saying. Like I'm never where the fans are, I guess is my point. So
right.
Like I don't get a chance to really form an opinion on stadiums much anymore.
And I mean, I think we just got such a glaring look into how they view the game. So if they're going to, last year, if that's the way they're going to view the game, which is fine, they only need to worry about them.
Right. Then
we need to view the game the way in a way that only worries about UC.
I think that's fair. They made it very clear. We are only worried about what happens in the MAC.
I just think that, I mean, maybe something will happen, but we still have 7 years of this deal. So maybe something will happen after, but UC's not going to buy themselves out of this deal.
No, and we've been told by people close to UC, FCS, Miami, Power 5. That is their vision if you're in a 9-game Big 12. They fully feel those 9 games in the Big 12 are going to be competitive enough that you don't have to go crazy in the out-of-conference.
And it's not financially smart to buy your way out because what are you replacing it with?
Right, another MAC team.
But I mean, like, maybe not always another MAC team, but like
another MAC level team. Are
you getting money in a game? No. You're doing a home and home with someone, or you're doing some sort of 2-in-1 deal or something. So it's not like you're replacing it with $2 million buy games at Michigan.
Right.
Where I'd be like, yeah, sure, buy out of it because you're replacing it. You're going to make $10 million over the next 10 years, because you're playing these other games. That's not what's going to happen. So it sucks. I hate it, but we're stuck.
And they're just not going to be any good.
We're stuck in a contract that doesn't make sense to get out of, and you just have to deal with it. And the sad part is that,
right.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong, But like, are they going to win? If they win a game between now and 2029, people are going to go, see, you got to keep playing them because they won a game or whatever, and is that the start of a reborn rivalry or whatever? Like, the result doesn't matter. The game has become the basketball version or the football version of the noon Sunday ECU basketball game, where you're just praying to God that a bunch of your guys don't get hurt and that something goofy doesn't happen and you lose this game. And that should not be part of a schedule of a team that is trying to play for national championships.
Or that because of this game, you lose other games, like you said, because your linebacker room got ravished, or like, you go through a situation where it changes the dynamic of your team because of one Saturday.
Yeah.
I feel you.
But
Cincinnati should kick their ass.
They should. I mean, if UC runs the ball like I think they're going to run the ball, this could get nasty.
Yeah, I think I know everybody's focused on Ben and Evan, and rightfully so, because quarterback is such a big deal. But this team's going to be able to run the ball, I think. Like, they're really going to be able to run the ball. And you're going to see what we saw back a couple years ago, hopefully with a better passing attack. But where in the middle of the third to the start of the fourth quarter, teams are they're done. They don't have any fight left.
Well, Luke's like, salivating over, I get to run the ball 40 times a game again.
I might have to do it with two or three different guys.
Well, yeah.
Did you see Monday night? Did you get to watch the Brady Bunch?
I didn't watch. I listened to most of it.
Did you hear when we asked them, like, give me one redshirt freshman?
Oh, yeah, Miles.
Every one of them, dude. Every one of them. And the guy that got kicked out came back and said, did you guys mention Miles Montgomery? I'm like,
yeah.
Yep.
Well, I need that when we get to Squat Fest. You need to introduce me to Jeremiah since he's from Rochester. I need to talk to him about some food.
Okay. You got some food discussions to have?
Well, yeah, he'll know what garbage plates are.
Yes, he will.
When he talk about
that also seemed to be the most excited he got on the entire podcast was when he got to talk about food. So yeah, you certainly are going to have to talk food with him.
Yeah.
He looked like a dude that could smash, like really get in there and just throw down some grub.
I'm also a guy that
can throw down some grub.
Maybe to my detriment, but
yeah. I don't have a ton else this week. Do you? I haven't had a chance to get to Little Birdie sessions, mainly because the team went to Kings Island yesterday, so that kind of threw off the schedule for the week.
Did it invite you?
I wouldn't have gone if they did.
I wouldn't have either.
I had radio yesterday. There wasn't.
Kings Island won't sponsor the show and whatever, but that's not my game.
We've gone. We've had season passes with Kelsey a couple times. I don't mind it, but it's not like just a day, especially walking around on like a 95-degree day around an amusement park. Nah, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good. You guys got any questions in the chat? Anything you'd like us to talk about? No? Okay.
What about quarterback commit Brady? How do you say his last name?
Drogish.
Participated in the Elite 11 camp.
Hi, JQ.
Is JQ a watcher of the B?
A regular watcher of all the podcasts. He watches all the shows.
Excellent. Well,
when I've ran into him at camp a couple times, like he's like, "Oh, remember that?" Like, all right, JQ watches the shows. So, be careful what you say about JQ.
Well, I mean, 2 weeks ago, I said I wouldn't be surprised if he was starter. So.
You're right.
The guy probably loves me.
So what were you going to say?
Yeah, just participating in the Elite 11. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's big.
Which I get the biggest kick out of the Elite 11 is now 20 people.
Yes.
Why did they decide to, and this is not the first year, but like I thought the whole point was that it was like the Elite 11 quarterbacks.
So I think what they do now is they have 20 and then they rate the top 11.
Okay, whatever. I'm gonna be old man yelling at cloud, like more participation trophies, like just have 11 guys. Like why do you need 20 to then pick the top 11 each day?
I could tell you. I think what had happened was they were like the regional sites grew.
Yeah.
So as there were more regional sites, then you had more people qualify, quote unquote.
Well, then you should have the regional people battle to go to the Elite 11. It's like a bracket.
Right? You would think. You know what? It's crazy. They're in Redondo Beach. You know where I just was?
Probably pretty close to there.
We were in Hermosa Beach a week prior. If I would have known.
Get that On3 crap off the screen, Aaron.
Yeah. That On3 crap out of here. Well, we play some 24/7 crap, but they haven't produced any.
It was the only video that I saw on him at Elite 11.
I retweeted it earlier and then took it down because I realized it was a non-3 guy. But Aaron,
don't get me started now.
You're there covering, but not, I guess.
No,
I'm gonna bow out.
Let's change the subject before
let's change it.
Say something.
Say something you shouldn't say. That's never happened before.
I was mad last night. I'll tell you why afterwards. I was mad last night. Big mad. But what can you do?
But no, still cool honor.
Yeah,
cool
definitely.
Experience. I mean, whether there's 11 or 20, you're still one of the 20.
You're one of the elite quarterbacks in this class.
Yes, in 5 years, it's going to be like the Elite 37.
Well, there's 32 NFL teams. Each kid is going to represent a team.
Represent a team. Mm-hmm.
It's going to be the Elite 32.
Right. So, what was it? I'll get I have a buddy coaches at Springboro. They are playing Moeller tomorrow in 7-on-7. So I'll get a little Jordan Marshall.
I can give you the Jordan Marshall scouting report.
Oh yeah, he's really good.
He's really fucking good.
But
he's really fucking good.
hear what he says. I mean, it's great. Right. It's 7-on-7, but yeah, former UC coach Mark Elder, now the head coach at Elder or at Moeller.
That's a good question, Dave. What college football stadiums are on your bucket list?
Well, let's see. I have been to, obviously, UC. I've been to Ohio State. I've been to the Rose Bowl. I've been to Florida State, Tennessee, LSU.
Damn, son.
I haven't been to as many college stadiums as I actually have been to like NFL stadiums, but of the ones that I would say I would like to go to a game at Oregon. I would like to go to a game at Texas A&M.
I heard the atmosphere at Oregon State is better than Oregon.
What?
I said I've heard the atmosphere at
I
Oregon
heard what
State
you said.
is better than Oregon.
I find that hard to believe.
Just the setting, like the setting is apparently amazing at Oregon State with the mountains.
The setting at Washington is awesome. It's right on the Puget Sound. That would be on my list.
Okay.
Trying to think, like there's not really many in the SEC necessarily that I care to go to. I would like to go to a game at Appalachian State.
Is there anywhere in the Big 12?
Kansas.
College football. You want to go to a college football game at Kansas?
I want to go to Oklahoma State. I want to go to Oklahoma State and Baylor.
Yeah, I do too.
Basketball arenas that I've been to the Carrier Dome, which used to be called the Carrier Dome. Now I don't know what it's called, but Syracuse, West Virginia. I did a double dip one time when I was a young lad. Xavier was playing number 1 UMass with Marcus Camby. I went to the Xavier game and then straight to the UC game right after.
Who was UC playing?
I don't remember. Someone terrible in Conference USA.
Okay.
Oh, let's see. What other basketball arenas? Obviously, like the local ones, UD, Ohio State.
These aren't where have you been. These are what are on your bucket list?
I know, but I'm trying to. I use that to base off of like where I would want to go. Obviously, Cameron, Fog Allen. Back in the day, when they were actually good, like New Mexico would have been a good one, the Pit, but they kind of.
I want to see a game at the Pit. Like I've heard the UC guys I talked to that played at the Pit back when Mick was here have said that's the loudest, like you couldn't hear yourself think in that place.
Yeah. There's not. I don't know. Basketball. I don't know. I'm just more of a football guy, so there's not a ton of like. Madison Square Garden, I guess. Like.
Yeah, I hate that I never made it to a Big East tournament when UC was in the Big East.
Yeah.
I hate myself for that.
Yeah,
I'm not going now.
No.
I'm not going now.
Well, they haven't been going lately either. So.
Well, they go and they pack light.
But no, it was always like very cool to me, like when it was on ESPN and they would like show the shots of them coming up the freight elevator.
Yeah.
To the locker rooms and everything. But like so many of the like really good basketball arenas now, like they play all their like half or more of their games in like the NBA arena. That's like in their if they have that situation in their town. And I feel like, like some of these old on-campus arenas, especially in the Northeast, like Villanova and St. John's and those type of teams, they just like play their games in Madison Square Garden or whatever Philly's arena is called now, or the Barclays Center. Like, that's not interesting to me. Like, those are just big, sterile, professional arenas. Like,
I hate to say it. You know what the best college basketball arena I've been in?
What's that?
Yum.
Yum is awesome.
It's unbelievable. Like,
it is ridiculous. That
place is
the city and school.
Sure, forever.
Because
but that place is amazing.
It is
in
very
terms
nice.
of a place to watch a basketball game. It is high.
Honestly, it's easily in my top 5. Oh, like just the overall way that the arena is set up, the way that everything about it. Like, I love UD Arena.
Yeah, I went back in the 90s and saw a tournament game there.
Like, it's so like they've done so many nice renovations. My dad has splits UD season tickets with somebody. So I go to a game a year with him. And it is their hospitality, like venues are super nice. The concourses are awesome. Like it's just a really, really good college basketball atmosphere.
Gallagher Iba, I've heard, is really nice.
It was, yeah, it's cool, like the way that it's built, but they, I don't know, it's just not like when these places are like half full anymore, it just doesn't hit like when Oklahoma State was a different, when they were quote unquote good, and because the stands kind of like go straight up, and it's just kind of like a different viewing experience. Like give Kansas State, what do they call that? Like the Octagon of Doom or something?
Yeah. Have you ever been to IU?
No.
So I
hear you get like vertigo in their upper deck.
That's what I was gonna say. So I've been there a bunch. They used to have an AAU tournament over Memorial Day weekend called the Adidas May Classic. And they would have games when it was allowed back 10 years ago. They would have games at Assembly Hall. But I had a buddy that's a diehard IU fan that was like, hey, I got an extra ticket, come with me. So I was like, all right, sounds good. We were in the upper deck, and I mean, you are...
Yeah, it's like straight down.
Like if you lean a little bit, you really feel like there's a good chance you're just going to topple and end up in the lower deck. Like that was an aggressive design when they designed the upper deck at Assembly Hall.
Oh yeah.
Hilton Coliseum. I've heard great things about Hilton Coliseum.
What is that? Iowa State?
Yeah, Iowa State. Hilton Magic. Like they had a lot of before Travis Steele, like what Xavier had at Cintas, where they would
put an end to that.
Yeah, we did. But it's apparently a great place to watch a game. The Roundhouse is supposed to be a really cool place to watch a game.
Shoemaker Center West.
Yeah. There's a lot of basketball arena. Like I'm more of a basketball guy, so there's a lot of really like historic, legendary basketball arenas I'd like to get to. I've watched AAU games at a lot of them. I just haven't seen college.
I've been in Cameron and actually walked down onto the court.
I was just in Pauley Pavilion,
but there was no. They were having like a kids camp, and I just walked in and walked onto the court just to check it out. But
they were having a young elementary school, middle school girls basketball camp at Pauley when we were there last week, walking through with Savino. Really cool place. He said it held 14,000. I was like, he squeezed 14,000 into here, but I guess they do.
People are
scared. But that place is clean. Like concourses are sharp. Like it's a really, really cool venue. I wouldn't mind going to Arizona for a game.
Yeah. The Galen Center, USC's place looks pretty cool. It's like a more modern, but it's like smaller.
I'm still mad at Sasna.
Yeah, I was supposed to go to a basketball game when I was out there for the Super Bowl and never heard anything.
Yeah, like he hit me and he's like, "I'm sorry, man. We're hiring a baseball coach this week. Like, tough shit. Sorry." I guess that's important these days. I thought he was like, shouldn't you be mailing it in? Like this week's his last week on the job. Yeah. Come on, man. Couldn't make time to give me a tour of USC.
I mean, they haven't even hired anybody yet.
Right? Crap. Absolute crap. Good question, though, Darren. Taking us through all the places. The Big House is really cool for football. Just because of, like, the walk-in where it just doesn't seem like it's that big of a place.
Yeah.
It's what, 3 stories high, like on the surface level. And then you walk in and it's just this giant hole
right.
that holds 100,000 people. I'd love to go to Happy Valley on like a night game whiteout.
Whiteout would be cool.
I've been to NC State. That was a cool.
The sneaky one that is crazy I haven't been to is Jordan Hare, Auburn.
Yeah.
They get
Hedges.
a big game. That's Georgia.
Or Georgia, sorry.
But big game at Auburn is rowdy. South Carolina is a good one too because they play like 2000 Space Odyssey is their intro.
Yeah, and of course, like the ultimate, I think is Death Valley at night.
It's sweet.
How loud does it get in there?
It's pretty damn loud. It's pretty awesome. The tailgates are pretty sweet too.
Michael, we've answered that question 1,000.
I do want to say I've changed my pick for with the AACC officially going to like
3-5-5.
The three permanent crossovers. We talked about that a while back about like who you would pick for UC.
Yeah.
I've changed my pick.
Okay.
I would pick West Virginia, Baylor, and Oklahoma State just to piss off UCF fans.
Do you think they'd be upset? Do you really think they'd be upset?
Oh, they would. It would bother them.
What? I don't know. I guess I get their obsession.
That's why it would bother them because
Cincinnati is where they want to be.
Because they wouldn't be able to play UC and then beat them and say how much better they are and everything.
Yeah, the obsession to me is just so odd.
Yeah, it is. It's just weird. Like there's not a week that goes by that on the Bearcat Journal Twitter page, I don't just see like a retweet from a UC fan of a Central Florida fan just talking about UC for no reason.
Yeah, like I don't think of them. Like they don't cross my mind.
I don't think I've ever sent a tweet from our page concerning them if it's not about like UC and them playing a game.
Or in response to them continuously.
Right. Like it's not me just being like, oh, Central Florida did this. I'm going to tweet it out and make a UC joke about it. I mean, I could tweet out about how like all their good recruits are leaving and, make fun of them for that, but I don't even care that much.
Right. It's so weird. I guess,
But hey, they got a lot of transfers.
And they're upgrading the bounce house, apparently.
I mean, that's not saying much. That's like going from a single wide to a double wide. They're
putting extra supports underneath the bleachers.
Yeah.
I don't know. Get good. They get good.
I mean, like they're fine, but they have this like, it's 5 years ago, guys. Like,
in 2014, were we like demanding respect for what happened in 2009?
I don't think we were demanding respect in 2010 for what happened in 2009.
Right?
I mean, I wasn't.
We had a great team.
I was like, we had a great team, and then we got our doors blown off by Jesus Christ himself, and our coach left. Like, I wasn't then saying, like, that
Dude, I was I was driving in yesterday to do radio, and Pike on Cincy 360, they were doing a segment on like the craziest people in sports. So like Marshawn Lynch and Mike Tyson, and they got going on like the 2009 Florida team and how batshit crazy that team was.
Carlos Dunlap was like the normal guy.
Right. Like that was the good dude on that team.
Yeah.
But Tony was like, can we count Tebow in this conversation? Like he's crazy, right? Like
you obviously had Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah.
You had Brandon Spikes, who was insane. Then you had Tebow, who's insane for other reasons. To some, to others not so much, but wouldn't really call him normal. You had Riley Cooper, who said some things when he was with the Eagles, so you can imagine what he was like in Gainesville, Florida.
You had Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer counts, right?
He might top the list, actually.
Over Aaron Hernandez, who murdered people for sport.
So,
oh boy.
But yeah, I mean, I don't remember obviously that was a long time ago, but I don't think any UC fans we never dwelled on I just look at it like this. Can you imagine me and you?
Yeah, we mentioned Dunlap
sending out tweets in 2026 about how UC went to the college football playoff in 2021 and how that's paved the way for other teams.
Yeah, how it paved the way for UAB.
I'm gonna
to become the best team in the American. You did that yourself. That's on you. That's not. We didn't have anything to do with that.
Yeah.
Who's winning the QB battle? Hell if I know, Michael. I asked Luke about it yesterday, and everybody still is. They were very even in spring. Let's see what happens at camp. That's kind of where we are. Luke actually sounded almost kind of annoyed by it that somebody didn't pull ahead in spring because he's like, now we've got to have all these,
Well, no, he's just annoyed now because people will have to keep asking him.
No, what he was talking about, though, was as we go through camp, now we're going to have to, split reps with the ones and the twos.
Right.
So, they're only going to get half of the reps with the number one wide receivers. Then they're going to have to get half of the reps with the guys that are behind them. Yeah, that'll probably help in the long run because they're all going to be used to throwing to all these guys. But, you would like for it to be a little bit more the ones are working with the ones. That's not going to be the case. When does camp start? Luke said a little over a month. We haven't been given a date.
It's late
July, early August. Yeah. So we're roughly a month away. Which is going to go by, at least for me, in a blink of an eye, because I'm going to be on the road a lot for AAU through July. And then as soon as that ends, camp time. So we're getting close.
Camp is
running back's going to be fascinating. Quarterback's going to be fascinating.
Camp is just going to be so much more interesting than last year.
Can I drop a nugget on you?
I mean, you're more than welcome.
How many pounds do you think Nick Mardner has gained since getting to Cincinnati?
37.
25.
Oh, okay.
He is not the long, rail-thin, skinny kid that showed up from Hawaii back in just late December, early January.
That's good.
Yeah. I still, I've got my sleep. I think Jaden Thompson's going to be a factor. I think Chris Scott's going to be a factor.
Chris Scott was a factor last year.
Yeah. I think he's going to be more of a factor. And then you have Tyler Scott, Trey Tucker. Like they're going to be more than fine at wide receiver.
Oh yeah.
Did you see here? So yesterday was media day where they shoot the all the promo stuff and the stuff they use on the video board and the stuff that they use. Did you see this?
Yeah.
He can't get enough.
I mean, like,
is he? But he's not in New York. He's just here.
Year of eligibility left.
Like, what are we doing, Sauce? You just made $35 million. What are you still doing hanging out here?
Probably paid for the shoot. He's like, I want to be in it.
The main thing is he comes back to work out. Like that's his comfort zone of.
Well, right now is like NFL vacation time.
Yeah, and he's back but even in between mini camps, he would get done with mini camp and he would just fly back to Cincinnati.
Yeah,
and he can't get enough.
Starting defensive backfield is going to be pretty lit. Got Sauce, Arquan, Taj, and.
I was like, what are we doing, Sauce? You can't help yourself.
So I figured our listeners, our fans would get a good chuckle out of this, and I sent this to you the other day in the Athlon magazine. There is for the Power 5 schools. There's like a whole big section on like scouting the Tar Heels, opposing coaches sized up North Carolina. And Stephen Godfrey, who many of you know, has been on our show.
Yes.
He does this for Athlon. So for like the Power 5 schools, he takes a bunch of different comments and kind of like works them all together so it doesn't seem like it's all coming from the same person, and then it's impossible to know like who is saying it. The reason I bring that up is for SMU. There's the comment. And
so good. This is so good.
For Group of 5, there's just a comment. And this says, from an opposing American Athletic Conference assistant coach. The rep under Sonny Dykes was that they were a great front runner who would fall apart down the stretch. They have to change that. The QB is decent, but doesn't have much help. And I sent that to you and said, which UC coach did Godfrey get that from?
That was the scouting report. Smack him in the mouth and they'll fold.
Is it Luke Fickell telling him to say assistant coach?
Or is it Gino?
Yeah.
Gino's just like, man, smack them in the mouth, they're done. Like that's something Gino would say, right?
Yeah. But I just thought it was funny because it's kind of like what I've been saying about them for the last 2 years. It's like they're soft as shit.
Yeah.
And they get out to these 7.
Well, remember 2 years ago?
And you pop them in the mouth and they lose 5 straight games.
Remember 2 years ago when every wide receiver was running over the middle like he was a T-Rex?
Yeah, at SMU.
Like, they wouldn't reach. They wouldn't do this. They were trying to catch the ball like this every time. Don't hit me, don't hit me.
Yeah, it was just funny that, like, that is what I've talked about with them for 2 years.
It's what the staff, like, I've heard the staff say those things about them under Sonny Dykes. You worried about SMU? Nah.
No.
They don't want anything to do with the physicality of the way we play.
I'll say this too. I've read the preview for every team UC plays.
Yeah.
The remarks about the American Athletic Conference this year are not glowing. Outside of UC and Houston.
UCF doesn't feel like they're going to be good?
Well, this is coming from the assistant coach.
Okay.
Like, the article thinks they're going to be good, but like,
okay.
So, but some of them they're kind of depressing to read, honestly.
Like the shine is off of Tulane, right? Like everybody.
Indiana.
Yeah,
awful.
They're in a bad spot.
UC might beat them by 50.
They're in a bad spot.
Like they won 2 games last year, and even the article said like it'd be good if they doubled that.
Right. They're like they lost the best linebacker in the history of college football.
Right. 4-time Heisman winner, 4-time first-team All-American, 4-time Butkus winner.
Number 1 overall draft
pick. 1 overall draft pick. Number 1 son in Tom Allen's family. That's an interesting thought, Darren.
He's still cutting the Thanksgiving turkey, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Micah McFadden is at Tom Allen
for years.
Okay, so I've watched a lot of the game. I've been bored, whatever, certain times, and I've watched a lot of the games from last year recently.
Yeah.
I watched the Indiana game the other day. I forgot that his son got a roughing the passer penalty after Micah got ejected. Yeah. Yeah. Do you think he yelled at him more than he yelled at Micah for getting ejected?
Absolutely.
He was grounded.
Don't even come home for Thanksgiving.
He was grounded.
Micah, get your bed.
I hope you better go stay at your girlfriend with her family. Aaron, get them out. Get out.
Why are you telling him to get out?
No, that's what Tom Allen told his son.
Yeah.
His son showed up for Thanksgiving. Tom Allen was like, get the fuck out. Get out.
But yeah, like I heard you mention Tulane, like just more coordinator changes.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, so many of these teams either have rosters like USF that they have some. USF actually has some like decent talent on offense.
Their quarterback's good.
Well, no, they got a transfer. They got the Baylor transfer quarterback.
They're not going to play that kid that was the quarterback.
Hell no, they're playing the kid from Baylor that took him to the.
Oh yeah. I remember.
Gary Bohannon transferred in.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, like that you have to read and like actually study up on. Like the portal is just insane. I'm like, I didn't even know these guys were not on these teams. Like. But yeah, like Temple's an abject disaster. So is Navy. Yeah. Like Tulane, who the hell knows? Like Michael Pratt is really good, but he's been hurt a lot, and they don't
have anything around him.
More coordinator. Well, he gets his running back, which will help. But just like Memphis, there's tons of question marks. It's not great.
All right. Can Dykes change his formula at TCU? Leopard doesn't change his stripes, right?
Yeah, I mean he's gonna recruit better because they're in the Big 12, and he's gonna play the same come home to Dallas Fort Worth game that he played at SMU. But like.
You don't change that MO, right? Like if your team doesn't like physicality, you don't just go to a new school.
It either matters or it doesn't.
It's physical. Like nowhere Luke Fickell goes, all of a sudden is his team going to be soft? Never.
Right. Yeah. It either matters or it doesn't.
Right. I don't see any way that all of a sudden a Sonny Dykes team is the one that's like punching you in the mouth. I don't see that.
No. And I don't know if I think this would be an interesting question for coaches. Like, does your style of offense, when you play that style of offense, and you are so reliant on scoring points and that, does that change the way you practice so that because you're afraid to get these guys hurt. And then does that way that you practice then bleed over into your games?
Yeah. I mean, I can see it. I don't know. I can't ever see their team, a Sonny Dykes team, having the identity of like, we're going to kick your ass.
Yeah. No.
Doesn't jive. All right. You got anything else?
I don't think
Good stuff from the comments tonight. Like,
I don't think so.
I thought that added quite a bit to the show. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Let me see here if I see anything else of
relevance.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But
yeah, I think Tulsa's gonna stink. Like, they lost their defensive coordinator, best defensive player.
Has Heupel changed his formula at Tennessee, Dave?
That'll be interesting this year.
Yeah, big time quarterback, right?
That's for next year. They have a good quarterback this year.
No, I mean right now they've got a really good quarterback, right?
Hendon Hooker, Virginia Tech.
I'm not talking about the recruit that made $8 million in NIL money before he steps on campus.
Don't shortchange him.
Miami just won up that, right? Though they gave their 2023 quarterback $9.5 million.
Yeah, and he turned down 11 from Florida, which is just hilarious.
$11 million for a high school freshman or a high school junior.
Yeah,
junior, not even a senior.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the guys? Did you see the guys that he's going to be making more than that are currently in the NFL?
Oh yeah, in the NFL. Like, yeah,
Jamar Chase being one of them. Like
Joe Burrow.
The list was obscene.
But no, Heupel this year will be interesting just because I think they did a lot of good things last year. But, you read the stuff in the Athlon magazine, and it's exactly the same stuff I've talked about, is their system isn't hard to figure out.
Right.
So with a year under these teams' belts, are they more capable of matching up now, knowing that the receivers are going to run like 3 routes?
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting, but I mean, they should take another step. Like, they've got some good players, so we'll see.
Do we think that UC is going to get Anthony Brown? Let me tell you this, Michael. Can I give you a?
Can I just answer it?
No.
No, I can't. Okay.
No. Just let me say what I have to say, and then you can give your opinion. Starting tomorrow, Michael, you can get 2 months of Bearcat Journal for $1. So that means you can get the rest of July recruiting, and you can get all of camp for $1 starting tomorrow.
What are we, the Athletic?
Well, it's only 2 months. The Athletic gives you like a year for $1.
A year for 4 shekels.
Yeah, we're giving you 2 months for $1. So I expect, Michael, to see your name in the subscription list when I check tomorrow, and you can get my answer on where I think UC stands with Anthony Brown. I'll let Dave give his answer.
You're gonna give that tomorrow?
No, I've already given it. It's already on the boards.
I got you.
It's no secret what I think.
If you're asking me a yes or no, I will say yes.
Fair. Dave, I have to ask you a question.
Okay.
Before we go, a food question.
I like food, so.
Do you have a go-to when you go to a stadium, ballpark, arena? Do you have a go-to that you always get that you kind of I don't want to say judge, but like some people are like pretzel. They got to get a soft pretzel.
Mhm.
Some people have to get a hot dog. I go nachos. Nachos is what with my dad.
I heard,
we would
I heard
always
you
get
talking.
nachos.
I heard you talking about this on the radio. I'm actually like a terrible person to ask this question to because I very, very rarely eat anything inside a game.
Okay. The nachos thing for me is just like that's what my dad and I would always like. We would get a thing of nachos and we would go to a game.
The question is like, are you talking the basic nachos, or now you have these places like have the elevated nachos?
Basic. No, I'm talking the tray with the little like side cups of cheese.
Oh yeah, like I'm a big fan of. Actually, as hard as it is to believe because it's been so bad for a long time, it's gotten a lot better. Like Paul Brown Stadium nachos, I love because the chips are super salty.
Yeah.
And I always get the double cheese. I don't mess with the salsa.
You don't do the salsa. I like having the salsa. Double
cheese, extra jalapenos. But yes, I'm very much like a nacho guy. I'm very, very like I will not get stadium pizza. I feel like that's just wasting like $10.
It's overpriced.
It's never going to be cooked enough. Like I've never gone to a stadium and been like, that was a great piece of pizza.
I mean, La Rosa's is La Rosa's. Like when you get La Rosa's at the stadium, it tastes like La Rosa's.
Yeah, but
like there's no difference.
But what stadium can you get La Rosa's in?
Just Great American, right?
Oh, can you? I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, they have a lot of people at Great American. They get La Rosa's and a cheese coney, and they eat together.
Like in the same bite?
Yeah.
Sky Rosa.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
I wouldn't ever do that.
But no, like
San Diego, the chips were.
I heard you say it was bad. Like, how did they mess it up?
So they only had one cup for whatever.
There's your miss already.
Salsa was not an option. So you only got the 1 cup of cheese sauce, which for a giant tray of nachos, there's no way 1 cup of cheese is going to be enough. So a quarter of the nachos went to waste because I didn't have anything to dip them in. And then instead of just piling the jalapenos on top, they gave you a tiny little cup of like mild pickled jalapenos. Didn't have seeds, didn't have flavor. They were kind of limp. Like it was bad nachos, Dave, in San Diego. They're 10 minutes from Mexico.
My big one that I hate too is the nachos, but they don't have like the machine that pours out the cheese. They have the cup with this foil lid on it.
No, screw that.
No,
screw that.
No, but
so I was chastised for judging San Diego on the fact that they had bad nachos. Their nachos were bad. They weren't enjoyable. I didn't enjoy the nacho experience.
I'm sure they had wonderful kale salad or
No, they had they tri-tip is big.
Oh yeah,
I love tri-tip. They had a tri-tip sandwich that was like this with a really good barbecue sauce. I crushed the tri-tip sandwich.
Jason brought up soft pretzels. That was the one redeeming quality of Indiana's football stadium.
Yeah, good soft pretzels.
They had really good soft pretzels. Jerry World had banging soft pretzels.
That would be my number 2 behind nachos in terms of if I'm going to judge you, because they're either awesome or they're terrible. Like there's very little middle. I think nachos probably are the most middle ground thing. How do you screw up stadium nachos?
Your soft pretzel could be like eating cardboard.
Right. Or there's too much salt. Like I like salt, a little bit of salt on my soft pretzels, but I don't like when and they put the rock salt, right? So you're like cutting your mouth with salt. Like the soft pretzels would probably be number 2. The ice cream helmet. They gave one of the little ice cream helmets, and they filled that thing up to like here, right? So by the time they got back to the seat, the 2 of them are covered in chocolate ice cream.
I think it would be cool if like a stadium let you bring your own helmet. and they
fill this shit up with soft serve.
Filled it up. I mean, they charge you like per second that they're pulling the lever. But you get to bring your own helmet. It could be a mini one. It could be, a fireman's helmet.
You wear it in on top of your head.
Yes.
And then you go to the bathroom, you clean it out, but a lot of those they have holes in them. So that would be a problem.
You got to eat fast.
Apparently, I went up to the concourse to get napkins, and by the time I came down, they had finished it, but they were apparently just diving in face first, eating the soft serve to get it to stop pouring over the top of the ice cream.
Yeah, but no, and then I did get out to Galactic this past weekend.
I did want to get to that.
That was wonderful.
You went with the Kelsey 4 legs.
4 legs.
Oh, their legs are so good. Their chicken legs are so good.
Loaded fries.
Rachel got tendies.
Tendies and fries. Yep.
Fried pickles. I'm not a pickle person, but I have eaten their fried pickles because they're so good.
They're good. They were good.
What'd you think of the Galactic sauce? Are you a fan?
It was excellent.
Okay.
But yeah, the chicken was quite good.
Yeah.
But yeah,
if the place cooks it when you order it,
we'll definitely be back.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good.
And I like my fried chicken. It's right up there with some of my favorites.
One final time, thank you to Urban Artifact for sponsoring us these past couple months. If you're curious to explore what lies beyond standard craft beer, take a trip to Urban Artifact. They don't make beer, they make fruit tarts. Come see what the world of real fruit beer has to offer. Swing by Urban Artifact's Northside Tap Room. Mention Bearcat Journal. Get $2 off a flight of 4 tasters. I guess that's good until July 1st. Right.
So 2 days?
Yeah, I haven't heard an end date on the promo. I would guess since,
I doubt if they're not sponsoring anymore, I doubt they're going to still be giving away discounts on beer.
That's my understanding, but nobody has told me the promo ends on this date.
Would be an interesting business model. I'm a poli-sci major, so I don't know.
But if you're listening and you want to sponsor the timestamps or you want to sponsor the mailbag, my DMs are open. My private messages on Bearcat Journal are open. A potpourri of ponderings. That's a good one, Aaron. That might be the name of the whole podcast. A potpourri of ponderings. We were a little all over the place tonight. Not quite as popular as Dave and Mo, looking at the numbers. So everybody wanted to hear what Mo had to say.
Yes, clearly.
All right, that's all I got. You got anything else?
Nope, I don't think so. I'm getting, like I said, I have that itch. I watched the AAC championship game. I watched UCF. I watched Notre Dame. I watched Indiana. I'm ready for some ball. We are.
We're getting there.
I mean, obviously, most people know I'm into golf, but this is my sports hell right now. There's nothing for me to watch, and I need football season bad.
We're getting there. You get Squat Fest on Friday.
Guess that'll do.
Aaron, are you excited? Will Squat Fest action on Friday?
I can't wait.
I mean,
Yes.
Are we going to do a BCJ squat fest? See who can squat the most?
I am not. No. No. You and Aaron and Brent are more than welcome. I'll give commentary. I have a bad back. There's no, I could squat 100 pounds and my back would be go to hell, bastard. You can go fuck right off. Is what my back would tell me.
I mean, I heard Brady say this is going to be the biggest and best one. I mean, I can't wait to see what that means because last year's was pretty.
It's pretty intense.
Pretty good. I'm looking.
Is Sauce going to be there?
I'm what? Oh, 100%. 100%. Second session.
Yeah, with the microphone.
I'm looking. I need to see more outfits from the actual players this year.
Yeah, they just wear they've got their Squad Fest t-shirts.
Some of them wear some shades or some headbands, but like I need like Josh Wiley, Ultimate Warrior, like red and black ribbons on his biceps, face paint, like. Let's do it up.
If I tweet at him, I bet we could probably make that happen.
Or he goes the other way to spite you.
Jason, maybe.
We're still trying to figure out if it's worth it.
I'm not ruling out that there might not be a live like Twitter feed from Squad Fest for a little bit.
I want outfits like Joel DeBlanco and Jerome Ford post AAC championship
with
goggles, like ski goggles. Yeah, I need a ski goggles, a toboggan, some ski gloves,
Aves.
Right? You look really comfortable, Aaron.
I'm in a recliner. I'm super
comfortable. Do you have like some wait staff coming over to like refresh your beverage or anything?
No, I've been hydrating. I was out in the pool with the kids and stuff.
You push a button like at the fancy movie theaters and they come over.
Garçon.
Yeah.
It's just you're like, give me a fucking drink.
Well, I mean, I hear a kid crying upstairs. There's like 3 babies upstairs. I'm like, just totally glad
I'm working.
I was down there until midnight. I don't know what happened.
Chad went really long yesterday. This guy's an asshole.
Until my mom's like, we were watching you live. We know what time it ended.
The nightcap isn't live.
Nightcap went really long.
We did an hour and 15-minute nightcap. I'm sorry.
We had to do post-game meeting and all sorts of stuff.
All right, let's get out of here. He's Dave Simone, super producer extraordinaire, Aaron Smith. I'm Chad Brendel. Thanks to Urban Artifact. You guys have been great. Hopefully we'll see you in the fall. And as always, thanks to the Holy Grail, the OG. They've been here forever. We'll see you next time. It's the BCJ podcast right here on BearcatJournal.com.